Ennis is here because it's good hour. You like really divaed me this week. You know?
Why? What did I do?
Well, the best day for you was Friday, but it's okay. You forced your way in.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. No, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah,
The best day for me? What does that mean?
It was just the way it lined up.
Okay, what were you going to do today?
Colby. He bailed on Tuesday, so I was like, you're not getting the... He didn't bail, he slipped in. Which is bailing, but...
Yeah, that's involuntary bailing?
Yeah.
Yeah, he stiffed you. We call that a stiff.
No, but you know the guy.
I know.
I actually feel even bad bringing this to air because he sent me like... He's literally sent me... he's on next week. I think he sent me 8 apologies. Yeah. I'm borderline expecting gifts.
Charles Barkley shouted him out when we had him on this week.
I love that.
Yeah, love sitting down with Colby.
Yeah.
Talking puck.
Hey, guess what? Correct.
Yeah.
I've said this. He's the golden retriever. He's a golden retriever of people. Like he shows up in a room and it's just like everyone wants to pet him.
Just like should run for public office. Like just a universal approval rating.
No, that's where you're wrong.
What, the skeletons coming out?
No.
What do you know about the skeletons?
No, it's not that. It's that the first criticism.
Oh, he'd crumble.
The first debate where someone's like,
that's
that's
why he is like universally beloved. He's like, I need to make a good impression with
shattered.
Not to say that I wouldn't, but yeah, it does. He is the guy. It's like, what? You said what? No.
I'd be the worst with it too because I'd be really indignant, but then you'd see my mood just get like more and more personal.
Yeah, you'd be like drill. You'd be like, it doesn't bother me.
Like at first I'd be like, ha, ha, ha. And then by the end of the debate, I'd be like, yeah, start name
put
calling.
It in the newspaper. I got mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not mad.
Yeah. Don't say I was mad. Nobody report that. No. Okay, so quick thing on the Oilers before I get into some Jay stuff with you. Because, hey, guess what? We're going to have a debate today.
We're going to have a debate?
Yeah, we're debating.
Okay.
Yeah, we disagree.
All right.
Strongly, actually, and I would say.
Oh, is this picking up on the conversation we were having?
Yeah, that's why I stopped.
My child?
Yeah, that's why I stopped talking. Well,
I think
your kids started crying.
That's why you stopped.
Can I say something? Can I say
me.
something that's probably not appropriate for air?
Okay.
Your kids seem to cry a lot. I'm just saying. A lot of phone calls I have with you, or there's like a kid who all of a sudden starts crying. It's what's really going on? Is all I was.
6-year-olds. No, they're usually like tip-top shape.
Again, I don't know. It's not my area of expertise. It's yours.
What happened? He got hit in the head. His brother hit him in the head or something. Yeah.
His brother. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, I just gotta say, yesterday is why I feel like the Oilers are team of destiny.
Yeah.
There's just this element where every time I want to write them off, every time they have a game like they did in Game 3, where you go, oh, yeah, these guys are just overmatched. Just like when they fell down to Vancouver 3-2. They have these moments where they just look garbage. The first 2 goals go in. Skinner's got 2 goals past him on 4 shots. One goes off Darnell Nurse's ass, the whipping boy of all of Edmonton. And you're going and looking at this and say, by the way, my brother was there last night. And he texted me. He texted me basically furious that he had spent money on the tickets.
5.5 minutes in?
Yeah, and he went, the crowd's dead. It sucks. I went, I started making fun of him for buying the tickets, being a bandwagon fan. And then they turned it around. He obviously had the night of his life. I'm guessing I should check to see if he's okay.
I was going to say, have you heard from him since?
No.
He was just carried out by the crowd.
He called me after the game, and he did his classic thing where he's just yelling like he's the world's #1 Oilers fan. That's his move every time he goes to a stadium. Is he just gets loud and he's like, I'm the top dog fan.
He's a Leafs fan, though, isn't he?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I was gonna say. I thought
he's
that's
a fraud.
The way,
he's a fraud.
Okay.
He's just. You know what he is? You know what he is more than anything?
A fraud?
No. Yeah. Well, that. But he's a good time guy. He's a good time guy. He's not going to put his team ahead of having a good time, which I respect.
Yeah.
Because I would do the same. In that situation, like I'm going to go to an Oilers game and I'm going to wear a Leafs jersey. Like, what are you doing?
No.
Yeah. Or be like, oh, I'm a Leafs fan. Says, no, you buy a T-shirt and you go to the game.
Sure.
I think buying a T-shirt I wouldn't do personally, but I think most people, I would kind of endorse that type of behavior. There's a weird thing. Anyway, I'll just to finish this point quickly.
Mm-hmm.
They're so flawed. They feel so wrong. Their blue line is terrible. Their goaltender is horrific.
Yeah.
They have no depth scoring. There's nothing about them outside of the top 2 guys that is special. And Evan Bouchard, because he really is, and he scored again last night. And
Oakville's own.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal for them, like a real breakout player. But there's just everything about Edmonton. You look at them and you're like, woof. And their coach, I don't think, is very good. He's a junior coach who's in way over his head, who had some stacked Erie Otters teams when he won.
Pulled all the right strings yesterday.
Sure.
Corey Perry and assists.
Yeah,
kill off all the penalties.
Yeah, but that's even they're just kind of cycling through these bottom six guys. But why was Corey Perry ever out? That would be my actual bigger question. It's like, what were you doing there?
Playoff magic,
So
Corey Perry.
You put Corey Perry, and you're like, you mean the guy who is the career-long winner?
Yeah,
the guy who's won everything, who you got for this purpose? Like, wow, what a delicate genius. Anyways. And then they have a night like last night where they're down 2 goals and you're ready to have it over, and then they come back. That's Team of Destiny stuff. All I'm saying is that's Team of Destiny stuff. But, okay, the thing I want to ask you about this, I mentioned that with my brother, but it's a good kind of segue for this. I find myself hoping that Edmonton goes to Stanley Cup. I'm really hoping that it's the Rangers in Edmonton because the older I get, the more I'm invested in the markets that matter. And I just don't care about being like the hockey purist who says, well, I think the Panthers and the Stars are the better teams. I don't care. I would rather see the 2 markets with the big fan bases. Plus, there's not like this great separator anyways, right? If I really felt like it was... I was rooting for Denver in the Minnesota series because I feel like Denver is the greater team and they're just further along the process. And I was rooting for the greatness of Jokic and who they are, right?
And I think everybody wants to feel like they're watching history, right?
Yeah, that's it. And I don't feel like if I'm watching Stars Panthers, I'm like missing out on something great. Ooh, I can't miss Sam Bennett. I can miss him. I really could. I really could. Wyatt
Reinhardt.
Johnson. I could miss him. Yeah. I really could.
How dare you?
I'm just saying I could miss him. Where are you at with this in terms of the rooting for the Canadian team when you're from the other Canadian city that everybody hates? Isn't it? Can I pitch it to you this way? Isn't it kind of the big dog alpha move though to be like,
oh yeah,
we would never want you to cheer for us, but like we're gonna root for you.
Yeah. Yeah, because it honestly would never go.
And I would never want it.
Sure.
If I'm them, I wouldn't want me.
But also, Leafs aren't likable. The Oilers are just like I find them.
I don't find them likable at all.
I find them very likable.
McDavid's super likable.
You know what? Draisaitl not likable.
Did you watch Darnell Nurse before?
Yeah, I do, but I kind of like that too. I mean, he answered the questions.
Sure.
With 10 words? You wanted more on a Darnell Nurse?
Can I tell you something? That the Leon Draisaitl postgame yesterday actually infuriated me. Yeah. It made me hate him. Sports hate. Relax, everybody. Because when he's down and Edmonton, as what did Bichette call them? The meat?
Oh, the media in Edmonton?
Do you have the clip?
Oh, he...
Dude, did you see Kelly Rudy's face when he said it? Kelly almost fell out of his chair. Do you have it? Yeah, play it. This is Kevin Bichette on Edmonton's media. Wait. All right. He's like, I got it. And then he's like, no, I don't. I got it. I'm like, you got it? He's like, yeah. Mike, in the future, when you say yeah, like that's when you got it. Like that. Are you ready? Like you tell me. You give me thumbs up when you have it. Have it.
Yeah.
Big story, Darnell Nurse. You think about his day, his morning. He gets to the rink and he has to meet with the Edmonton meat. That's what I call the media because they're raw, dead, and dumb. And he has to answer questions about...
Dude, raw, dead, and dumb. That's R.I.P. Edmonton media. You can... I don't know how you ever come back from that. I think we all agree that Principe is out of that, okay?
Yeah, oh my God. Gene beloved.
Is the man. Yeah, like, I want to say... Gene is so beloved that we got to just make a statement there.
Oh, well played.
Obviously not Gene Principe, but the rest. Just nailed him right between the eyes. Anyways, it was just incredible that Bieksa wins this award. Right? Mm-hmm. He's the most prestigious analyst in the country, and then he nails
tenured professor now.
Yeah, he's tenured. He got away with it. And if he said it, we can play it on here. So too bad. So sad. He said it to a way bigger audience. Hey, you don't like it? Take it up with him, not me.
I don't know. I find them likable. Maybe I'm just more talking about like the on-ice performance, though, because that is a hell of a team to watch. He's
incredible. I got a little sidetrack here because we're having a good time.
As usually happens.
Yeah, Leon Draisaitl, when he's losing... He is, remember why are you so pissy, Leon? Yeah. He is so pissy when he loses. And then when he's winning, he's standing there waxing poetic at the podium, giving all the details. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I like it when the energy is at least similar with the highs and lows. And I understand being a frustrated athlete, and those guys do deal with the meat, so they got to deal with the meat every day. Man, so nice that this happened. I'm so glad. Anyway,
No, he's the real future Maple Leaf, by the way. When
Leon?
when the cap space opens up in 2 years, his wife is from the area. I think he's more likely to move on.
Yeah, I could tell you, there's nobody's coming here. We're back to square one. This is one guy came here and everybody hates his guts.
In the old place,
Yeah.
and he's a man without a country.
Dude, this is
Had to go to Europe just
Yeah.
to get away from it. Couldn't win there. Came home empty-handed from the World Championships.
my whole life, like genuinely, from being I have my first Leaf conversation memories. Like the first rumor I remember hearing was my dad's friend Peter, who was a huge Leaf fan, telling me that he thought Eric Lindros was going to come to Leafs. And I was so excited. I was probably, 8. And I was just, hell yes. And it happened just, a decade later. So it eventually happened. And that's the thing that still has always been a thing, right? Like the Ontario guys will come home at the end of their careers and people go, whoa, what a novelty. No. This has been a thing. Like we've had this. My whole life, it was two things. One, guys if we could ever just get a guy that was an all-star that would want to sign with the Maple Leafs. They finally got it. Despised. Man, if the Leafs could just develop the homegrown Ontario kids and make the Ontario kids a part of the Leafs, then we would finally win. They do most despised. the two most despised players in the market. I think in my lifetime are the two things that everybody wished for. Again, there's nothing funnier than the Simpsons monkey paw Leafs.
Dude,
like,
I'll take it a step further.
Yeah.
If only, listen, they don't understand. Like Brian Burke doesn't understand how much of a willingness to like be patient this market would be if you ever just decided to rebuild properly and build through the draft. And they did it.
I know.
And it paid off immediately and still
everything.
Failure.
No, they literally did and got everything that every fan had ever asked for.
Correct.
And it's resulted in truly a point where, actually, this is a good pivot into what I want to talk to you about with the Jays. It's resulted in this moment where people despise the players, some of the players so much, and the core so much, that they are willing to lose trades in order to move on. And lose trades one-on-one in order to... And here's the thing, like, you roll your eyes.
No. It's because it's not apples to apples because you're going to do the
They
comparison.
are apples to apples.
No, because you're talking about a cap sport and a non-cap sport. So, like, you can lose a Mitch Marner trade and still get better because you can free up some more money.
Okay, no, but that's good, because then that's a good point. You'll get your time to explain your side.
Thanks.
I think the Blue Jays and the Leafs are in a very similar spot right now where the fan frustration is teetering towards fan apathy. And my case here is essentially, I'm tired of the thinking that you can't do something, you can't lose trades, or you can't be risky with some of these moves with these assets because it will, quote, like set the franchise back. Set these franchises back from what? Like right now, the Blue Jays are a team that I would say is as unpopular as I can. Like, when was the last time they were this unpopular? Like 2013, even people were still behind it and going, oh my God, they're season from hell. And there was at least that stretch where they got really hot. And
they won 11 straight. That's the franchise record. They got back to 500 on the strength of Chen-Ming Wong.
But all I'm saying is people were disappointed and they were crushed.
Yeah.
I don't remember them being that hated.
Yeah.
Do you remember them being like despised? Like there wasn't.
Like Emilio Bonifacio got pretty close to that, and like
people didn't like
Jose Reyes. I forget
Yeah,
if like
Reyes people
the
didn't like.
like post like I don't know if the Reyes like off the field stuff started to emerge while he was still a Blue Jay, or if that was afterwards.
No.
But like just like the performance of Jose Reyes.
The performance was
what we expected out of Emilio Bonifacio. Josh Johnson, that he was never healthy.
But again, it was health, right? It was that all the starting pitchers.
R.A. Dickey got pretty.
Yeah, he was really hated.
Close to what you're talking
and
about.
so
I think.
was
the
Aaron
closest.
Loop.
Yeah, that was
later.
That maligned. Like Aaron Loop was maligned because he wasn't as bad and was like actually an effective guy for a long period of time.
It's also I don't want to do it like this because this feels like my age group and your age group, but I also do feel like after 2015 the Blue Jays became such a bigger product, like such a greater focal point of the market.
Absolutely.
Right?
No, it changed everything.
Yeah.
2015 honestly showed me proof of concept because I always thought man, we lived through it before then where it's like, hey, there was hype in 2013, but pretty quickly the crowds dwindled and diminished. And hey, what if they ever were good? Would they show up again? And it took a while in 2015, but eventually, by the time we got to August and September, it was jammed.
Yeah,
and
because
you realized the potential again.
I could only remember one summer when I was in university where the Blue Jays were really hot in terms of everybody wanted to watch the games and people were curious about the scores. And that was the year when they got Molina, BJ Ryan, Lyle Overbay, and Troy Gloss. Where they really kind of pushed for it and the team was interesting and they were sort of in the mix. And I think they won, 89 games or something stupid like that. But there was the playoff format cooked them. Anyways, that team was interesting. People were invested in that. Outside of that, there was the year Josh Towers was really good and Vernon Wells really broke out.
By the way, did you see Vernon Wells' tweet yesterday? Not to get you off this. Like I don't know, just threw it into the ether, and it's almost like he wanted people to engage with him. He's like, are my Blue Jays really going to tear it down? And I'm trying to find it right now. Are we really talking about a rebuild in Toronto with my Jays really? And then somebody replies to him with, have you ever considered managing or general managing? Get your resume ready. And he quote tweeted with, I have, ... Okay, interesting, Vernon.
I just love, I love the way you said it. I have.
Well, I mean, that's the way it's written. Okay. I mean, it's, I have, ...
I have.
But that's period. That's not ellipses. What you just said is
true.
I have, period.
Yep.
I have is ellipses.
That reminds me of Toast of London. Okay, so back to the point.
Hated.
I don't feel like there's been too many Blue Jays that have been hated, or teams that have been really disliked to this degree. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the Leafs are kind of in a similar spot. But I'm going to focus on the Jays here a little bit more. With the Leafs, you're right. There's more of a case roster-wise to say, hey, you're in the Austin Matthews era. This hasn't worked. You've got him under contract. You might, quote-unquote, lose the trade in terms of you're not getting the talent back. Mm-hmm. But what you can do with the cap space and spreading around the dollars might make more sense for your team. Plus, the fact that you've seen him struggle this mightily, Mitch Marner or whatever, this core this mightily. I don't like always putting it all on him, but the idea of the core not working out over 8 playoffs to the tune of 9 series.
Also, it's just timing. His contract needs to be
there's just a litany of reasons why it makes more sense to move on. Where I'm at with the Blue Jays, though, is a similar position in terms of the Leafs, where I think that if you continue to do this, if you continue to not make drastic changes, and I'm not talking about swapping out Justin Turner and Kevin Kiermaier for different players. I'm talking deep cuts to the core, obviously including the firing of the general manager, which I think should have happened yesterday. And I don't even understand the delay, but whatever. Keep delaying it as though it's not going to happen, because it's going to happen. So whatever. If they don't do that, I really believe that there's a risk of losing some connection to the fan base, losing some of that equity that was built in 2015, and for the first time ever, having the Blue Jays return to a space where they are not the destination point of summer the way that they have been since that magical run.
But let's get closer to what you're talking about here.
Sure,
you're talking about 2 guys, right?
Yeah, you're talking I'm saying they got to move one of the guys, and they got to do that.
You think the same vitriol exists for both of those guys? Because Vlad has been on fire because he's hitting a bunch of singles, right? And he's
I don't think the vitriol exists for those guys.
And the Jacket's back. But, okay, is anything else other than those guys doing what you're talking about, being as epic a move?
I think that those guys at this point represent 2 things. One, they represent the failures of that hope, which was, holy crap, we've got these. It's the same thing with the Leafs. Oh, my God, we've got these 3 young players, right? And because I'm lumping Bichette in this just because we did market him that way, even though you and I from the beginning were going, hey, relax on this. But when Bichette first started out, and he was incredible, and there was this idea that maybe we all got it wrong, and there were posters in our building.
Yeah.
The 3 sons of the major leaguers.
Yeah.
All on their cheap contracts. The ownership willing to spend money. They're the deepest farm system in baseball, even once you called Vladimir Guerrero Jr. up, right? Baseball America, #1. You and I at one point said we've never seen the Blue Jays in a position like this where they're as strong financially, as deep professionally, and as deep at the minor league system ever. And we may never see it again. I think that those guys do represent an era of failure, of disappointment, and that they are a reminder constantly of kind of what you missed out on. And The second part of it is I do believe that there's a practicality to moving one of the two guys because everything else that you're going to move, it's not going to return, I think, enough for you. What is, you're not moving Varsho, right? Okay. So what is the trade piece that you're, like, is Gosman even at this point going to get you back what it once would have? I'm not sure. The velocity's down. There's some red flags with Gosman. Manoah, who was in trade rumors, looks like he's here to stay.
His elbow's pinching.
Then I know. I was just like, poor guy, finally finds something, and then he gets hurt. It just, I feel as though this group needs to embrace a major shakeup beyond just window dressing of the general manager, a manager, and a couple of the pieces around Bo and Vladdy, that the way to re-engage some of this fan base is to say, we didn't get it right. This wasn't the group. We're moving one of the two guys, and we're going to try and build something new before you get into next season and have to make that choice of pay both of them or move one of them for even less.
So are you making a baseball case or like a vibes, like karmic?
Both.
Like
both. I'm saying to me, it's both.
Okay, because to me, you're not getting some karmic fan boost if you trade Bo Bichette or Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Because it all sounds good, right? All in this massive haul. But like, okay, well, in the one case, like Bo Bichette has underperformed Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's starting to heat up a little bit. But I think he's the guy. Yeah, he's been great, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I still fully expect him to have his numbers when the season is complete. And he plays a premium position, and I think he would have the most value out there. But, like, are you getting geeked up because you traded Bo Bichette to, like, the Dodgers? The Dodgers are the team that, to me, stands out with a needed shortstop. And, boy, it does feel like an off-season trade where it's like, oh, Mookie Betts is your shortstop for now, but, like, say the Dodgers do the thing that they do mostly outside of COVID years and not win the World Series after that outsized payroll and what Shohei Ohtani did, and they need to, again, they're trying to add in the offseason, and you got him over the barrel for Bo Bichette, that makes a little more sense. But I just, the other part of it where it's like, well, we're just sick of seeing this. Do something. It's not those guys. Like, it has been because Bo Bichette hasn't performed, but now, like Vlad, you can't argue with the numbers now as much as you'd like to see more power. I think this might just be the Vlad experience, and even without the power, he's got enough singles that, like, over a month he's had like a near 1,000 OPS. He's been really good. So, like, who is the avatar for, like, oh, finally get rid of that guy?
That's, I think, the point. It's good to trade one of them when they're actually performing well. You don't want to trade them. That's been part of the argument against moving them. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it like, well, you can't trade Vladimir Bull right now because they're not playing well enough. You're not going to get enough back. And then when they play well,
okay,
you go,
so that's a baseball argument.
Yeah, that's my point. I don't think that I think they're tied together. I think that there is an intrinsic value.
I think one is true and one isn't, because if there's a baseball,
I disagree.
So if you're making a baseball case, yeah, okay.
I think that making the baseball case is part of the reason why we are here with all of the pro sports teams in this market right now. That's my point. Is like with the Raptors, oh, well, you know, we got tight. We got the talent. The talent's in the room. And, you know, OG Anunoby, look at him go on the New York Knicks. Oh, Pascal Siakam, look at him go on the Pacers. No one ever doubted those guys' talent. No one's doubting the talent of Mitch Marner. He's going to go somewhere else. He's going to put up a 100-point season. There's no doubt about it. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to finish the season you're right, a crazy on-base percentage. It looks like he's turned himself into a singles hitter, and Bo's going to have the numbers that he has. None of this stuff is working. You need to try to build out your team a different way. And the best way to do it is to be proactive. And part of it is, when you do wait longer, yes, I think there is a fan base discussion. People will come if the baseball team wins, right? But even right now, it doesn't feel like they're building something that people enjoy. Vladdy and Bo were performing well, and the team is still really universally
that was
disliked.
a game yesterday that against any normal team, you lose that game 100 times out of 100. Your starter didn't go 2 innings. You got 2 runs
White
against
Sox.
Chris Flexen. Like, give me a break.
I'm just saying that I do think that there is an added benefit to moving one of these guys. There's a baseball decision for it, which I believe in, which is you need to replenish the coffers. You need to try to get more depth. You need to, I hope anyways, add to your minor league system of guys who are close, right? Not lottery tickets for these dudes. You need to have at least a guy that you really, really do believe is going to hit. But man, oh man, the fan apathy thing does matter. There is a business case. If you want, here's what I would say. This is the kind of way it ties into the baseball decision. If you want them and them to be ownership, to continue to sink major dollars into this baseball team, you need fans to show up.
Sure.
And I don't think fans are going to keep showing up for this baseball team and this product and these players. And
Yeah, if they don't win. But to me, the best baseball
They're not
case,
going to win.
not as currently constructed. You know
Yeah.
why? Because they have 4 hitters that are like, yeah, that's good. Like in the case of Danny
So you think
Jansen
it's gonna
start,
get
like
easier
really.
to win once you pay Blow and Vladdy mega contracts?
No,
Okay.
not necessarily. But I think it's a lot easier to imagine that path than like everybody's gone and like this team with the 0 draft equity or like the 0 draft history outside of a couple of guys. And Alec Manoah was one of those guys.
No, but part of this thing is you're getting rid of the guys that ran your drafts. So you're starting. No, it is. You have to.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
that's part of it.
Yeah. I think there's not enough good players offensively on this team. Like literally there's 4 guys. There's David Schneider, Danny Jansen, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette. You guys can stay. But I think if you like that's not even half the lineup. And it's like Dalton Varsho is making himself a guy that does
He's a passable
things
offensive player, but again, on this team, people think that he's better than he is. He's fine.
He
He hits
shouldn't
200.
ever be hitting second, which he has to do when Danny Jansen's on the lineup. He's like he goes from 7th to second.
I know. I love it. He's a 200 hitter, and he hits in the 2 hole. It's great.
You need to replace your DH.
Yeah.
You need to replace your right fielder. I know Isaiah Kiner-Falefa has had a nice little debut here as a Blue Jay. Like, I think he's a nice 26 man. If you got Isaiah Kiner-Falefa as your utility guy who is literally caught in the major leagues, is like, you're doing all right. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, somebody gets hurt, you need him to start for a week, or he's a defensive. Great. Starting every day, that's insane. So you need to replace your DH, your right fielder, your third baseman, and your center fielder. Like that. So if you can do that in trading away, like if you can address 3 of those spots by trading away Bo Bichette, which seems unlikely, I think your better case scenario is, well, eventually you're going to have to pull the Band-Aid off with Justin Turner, who's like, he's calcified, which was in the range of possible outcomes for the player who's 39 years old.
Because everybody pointed out to this where it was like, actually, last year he started really hot.
Yeah.
And then he went
I mean, it was hotter for longer than 1 month.
Yeah, I know.
Which is all he was. For this,
it's bad whenever, and this is when guys are slumping too, but when you can tell that they're just praying for the walk.
Yeah.
Like they're not taking the bat
yeah.
off their shoulder and they're going, and they're starting to make the like hesitation move toward, you know, and you're thinking, whew, okay, nice, keep it moving. It's funny because I opened up a doc on my computer where I have Jays need to cycle out, and I'll just use the names.
Yeah.
Biggio, gone. Kiermaier, gone.
Sure.
Turner, gone.
Fine.
Jimmy Garcia, gone. But that's because Jimmy Garcia
sure.
you need to capitalize on the trade value that he has this year. Chris Bassett, immediately gone. Kevin Gossman, gone. You got to trade Gossman now. I think if you wait any longer, it might end up being a problem for you. Ernie Clement, just whatever, DFA, I don't care, whatever. However you get rid of him, get rid of him. And then I have Romano if the price is right.
Yep.
Springer, if you can, get off enough of the money. And then I have Bo.
Okay, well then...
Bo is my question mark, though, I will say. Like, I'll prove it to you that it has, see, question mark next to Bo.
It's too far away.
Okay, well, whatever.
I believe you. So what are you left with? You're left with Jose Barrios, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.,
Dalton Varsho. Alejandro Kirk because he's immovable.
He's sure, and he gives you a defensive value as a backup catcher.
You'll notice here that I didn't include Kikuchi.
Sure, yeah, he's a pending. So you're re-signing the 33-year-old?
I don't know, man. I just
what
love,
are you talking about?
I just love Kikuchi.
Okay.
He's the only thing that brings me joy, and I wanted to do. Yeah, no, I'm doing the. If I'm the Blue Jays, I'm going closer to scorched earth. I think that the big misnomer that they would make is trying to do yet another halfway toes in. Dude, they already did this. They already had their shot to do the halfway rebuild. It's when they overreacted to the Seattle loss. They went, okay, well, we're going to shuffle out a bunch of the pieces and do the halfway build. And that's resulted in this disastrous group that, again, everybody despises. So, no, to me, it's no more half measures. You've got to do the real thing. You got to do the big thing. I'm not even kidding. I wouldn't be opposed.
And then you would re-sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in this instance.
Yeah, or I would also trade him.
Okay, then you might as well just trade everybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, I mean, I don't think...
So what, you're going to have like Jose Barrios and Dalton Varsho like doing the Will Smith meme?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, again, they can be had if there's the right price, but I'm not like putting those guys out there.
And then you're the team that's like, we're doing it all with 1 million minor leaguers, and instead of like being just the smart draft team, like we're cheating by getting everybody else's prospects who they picked and are better at picking in the first round than us.
Correct. And I also think that the difference between you and some of these other organizations is
money?
You have money.
Sure.
And you're going to spend that money again.
Yeah. I think the more likely and better baseball case to be made is like, boy, you know what's easier to do? And I think you should do it, is trade off the guys with shorter term contracts, either pending free agents or in the case of Jordan Romano, 1 more year on their deal. If you've got Bo and Vlad locked in, like, and I know that, scary, the scary idea, but like if you have those guys signed to long-term deals, I think it's easier to turn around and say, you know what? The window's longer, and for better or worse, this is the Vlad and Bo team, and they're not the problems. It's the other guys that are the problems.
Except for they are the problems. They're the common denominators in all of these.
Just because they've been there. But this is not hockey,
well,
right?
Not just because they've been there, because they've also underperformed. Like, as much as people love to point to, hey, Bo is the same guy year over year over year, if Bo Bichette is halfway normal and doesn't just hit, what was it, like a 1,200 OPS his last month and a half of the 2021 season?
I mean, would you rather have it at the beginning of the season
no,
or the
but
end?
I'm saying that if you would have had that just spread out those numbers, you would have had more wins. You would have had a little bit more success. I think, anyways. He was a negative net player for the vast majority of the season.
But
Vladimir
in 22,
Guerrero Jr.,
they won 92 games.
No, this was I thought he did that in the 21 season.
No,
you're right. He was 22.
He did it in 22. They missed the playoffs in 21 with 91 wins.
You're right. Vladdy, same thing, though, where it's been an awesome season, and then for the most part, a guy that's not carrying the middle of your offense, but then kind of gets treated that way. I don't look at them as you need to have either of these guys as a long-term piece. Bo is probably the guy that I would prefer to keep, but even for Bo, I think about him aging at the shortstop position. I'm not really interested in seeing what that looks like. I think he stinks there now.
Yeah, it is weird that it feels like he's taking a step back defensively this year.
I
mean, there are worse defenders at shortstop. The path, again, to being relevant and not just playoff teams anymore, because baseball's changed now. It's closer to the NBA and like the Mavericks deciding not to get into the play-in tournament because they're like, yeah, who cares? Like,
we're not just did that.
Yeah, that was that last season?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, who cares?
Crazy that they're gonna.
The play-in tournament. Yeah. Thank goodness. Like 10 teams get into the playoffs now in the NBA. Yeah. Now it's like, no, thanks. I'd rather like get the draft pick and then like get back to like, or get to a place where we feel like championship contenders, not just like chip in a chair type thing. And that used to be the argument for baseball.
Well, the crazy thing too is that turned into the Lively pick.
Yeah, of course.
Which is the guy that.
Yeah, no, it's like really important.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Yeah.
You're making my case for me, Tank.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it, right? Like if you're at this spot, if you're like a 500-ish team, I think no matter what, you should be selling off your Jimmy Garcias, your Yusei Kikuchis of the world at the deadline. It just makes it a little more palatable for me if you're just define the future as Vlad and Bo, because those guys, I know, like, they're reminders of some disappointments, and no doubt, this season, massive disappointment. Last season, despite making the playoffs, not massive disappointment, but pretty big disappointment. Not just the fact that they only scored 1 run and didn't win a game in the postseason. The regular season was a disappointment considering the defense and the starting pitching. Before then, postseason disappointment, but like it's hard for me to call 22 a disappointment. 21. You think 2022 was a disappointment? They won 1 more game than they did previously. That was a good offensive team.
At this point, yeah, because at this point, I'm sorry, where they were at where they've been at and who they got as a matchup, it was supposed to be success, and it wasn't. And disappointment.
The manager decided to take out the best.
Yeah,
pitcher
in terms of the regular season, you're right. It's 2 things, and this is kind of I get it with baseball, but. Nah, I'm sorry. That's the way you ended that year was a massive disappointment. I went to those playoff games with you.
Of course, that was
when we went down there. We were like, Mariners. Oh my God, what a great draw this is for them. What an incredible draw this is for the Toronto Blue Jays. And so, yeah, disappointment. Anyways, so you don't see there being any case here to what I'm saying, which is that
tear it all the way down.
No, I'm saying that you don't view that there is a value. You are really looking at this through the lens that I really think has hurt all of these franchises. Which is, well, the talent, and we got the talent, and we can't give up on the talent.
No, but not enough talent.
No, but keeping these guys and risking the apathy of the fan bases, because I really do believe this. Next year, when it comes to regular season for the Leafs, the building will always be full, even though I think the sellout streak snapped this year.
Is that true?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You could go to the box office this year and get a Leafs ticket?
Pretty sure that the sellout streak
insane.
Ended this year. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Life is getting more expensive.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
life is getting more expensive. people have more options in the home in terms of things that they can be entertained. There's a billion different things out there, from a billion different podcasts to a billion different Netflix shows. There's multiple companies competing with one another for what the thing is. I think sports, you've got to stay somewhat hot, somewhat relevant, somewhat interesting. That part of the new dynamic is not just going to be, well, stick with the thing that makes you the most talented that you could. I think there is a component. And it's hard to say it because it makes you sound like an idiot, because we've been all trained to not do this. We've been all trained to not be too reactionary. But I don't think it's too reactionary when it's this many things. You've got too many seasons of what is essentially a stale show with the Toronto Blue Jays. You had too many seasons of a stale product with the Toronto Raptors. You have way too many seasons now of a stale product with the Toronto Maple Leafs. It causes people to lose interest. They don't want to watch the same show over and over if it's not a great show. Your show's not The Office. Your show is not Parks and Recreation. Your show is something else, where you had a couple of good seasons and now it's really running dry, and you built up a good fan base, but they're kind of getting tired of the product. And that's where the Jays are at. What?
Dexter?
Yeah, you're Dexter. You started really hot.
I didn't watch the crappy
that's a great. You're lost. You're like not lost as an organization.
Yeah.
You're the show Lost.
Yeah.
You started off
Never
red
watched
hot.
Lost.
Everybody loved you. Everyone was watching you. And now you're getting to the end and people are going, wait, you're going to tie all this up? This has gotten way too convoluted for us to believe that this is going to have a good ending. You're lost. These organizations are both figuratively and comparatively lost.
Well, I agree with you when you make the Raptors Leafs arguments that like talent wins. Those sports are just like
Oh my God,
show
you're
me
being
the
such a
show me
baseball guy?
but
Yeah.
show me the baseball team that's like, oh man, look at the baseball reference pages of all 9 players. It's just for whatever reason we all stank. Like it just doesn't happen. I can point to the reason why the Blue Jays stink right now, which they absolutely do. It's because half the roster stinks. What are we talking about? And the other half, pretty good. Like you can do a lot
Is
worse.
it? What, half?
Yes, 4/9 of the hitters.
Oh, the hitters. What about the fact that the bullpen is in tatters as two guys?
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's been one of
And
the
that the
worst
starting
in
pitching has
baseball.
an old
It's
guy
like-
that can't move his neck to the left. Their ace
Yeah,
that
but-
has his velocity dropping. Their prized possession pitcher that's hurt again after working his way back.
Okay,
you
Alec
know.
Manoah was the 5th starter, but yeah, okay.
Yeah,
like
I'm
the
just
other
saying-
4 guys, you don't like any of the other 4 guys. Like
I'm not
Kevin
saying I
Gossman's
don't
like feels
like-
back
Feels back based on what? Because he worked a good outing against the White
because
Sox?
his last, I think he's got now 4 consecutive quality
10
starts.
strikeouts. Here's what I would say. I don't think you're back when basically every single pitching guy is going, what's up with the velo? What's up with the velo? What's up with the velo? It doesn't have the same velo. So, yeah, no, an aging guy near the end of his deal who's dropped from running it up to 97 to consistently only running it up to 94, I would say is a pretty bad marker in terms of betting on that long term. You also, like you mentioned, have Yusei Kikuchi, who is 33 years old. I don't think that this pitching staff is in this incredible state. They were unreal last year. I think they're good this year.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to the future, there is an insane amount of question marks, and you probably want to get ahead of it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you can't re-sign Yusei Kikuchi. You can't rely on Alec Manoah. You can't
Right.
rely on Chris Bassett, and you can't rely on Kevin Gossman moving forward. Like, you got one guy in Barrios that I feel like is
I
a
think you
bona
can
fide
rely
what
on,
you have.
I think you can rely on Gossman and Bassett to be part of your
Yeah,
rotation.
yeah, sure. Sorry. I don't mean like I think these guys are going to be non-playable. I don't think that these guys are going to be bums.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I don't think that you're going to get the results that you've gotten from them so
Chris
far.
Bassett last season was a top 10 finisher in the Cy Young Award.
Yeah, and I
race.
don't think he's that anymore. I don't
No.
think he's going to be that anymore. And I don't think that
I like
don't
him a
think
lot,
that
though.
Gossman's going to be an ace. I think Gossman's looked a lot more human this year, and I don't view him as back because I just view him as more hittable, more
Yeah.
figured out than
Yeah.
he
But
used
like
to
a
be.
passable starting pitcher, but like, yeah, not
No
an
doubt.
ace anymore, but
Yes.
yeah, middle of the rotation.
Middle of the rotation guy. I'm just saying that doesn't reek of an amazing pitching staff to me where you've got one
No.
front end starter who's not an ace in Brio and,
No.
and then 2 guys under contract that you think are like,
You know
okay.
what? You need to be a more balanced team where like
Yeah.
you score some runs.
Yeah, that's good.
By
Yeah.
by which I mean changing half of the roster offensively.
Yeah,
That's
but
what
I
I'm
still
saying.
do think you're going to need a front end starter going into possibly next year or the year after for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'd be nice if like Jose Barrios replicated his April and
That's it. There's just so many holes, Benny, that it's like the idea of them going to fill this with relief pitcher trade Jimmy Garcia or like what is sorry, you went through it and you said you basically had the same list as me where you had like
Oh yeah, Turner,
Yeah.
Springer, Kiermaier, well, Vogelbach, obviously. Like,
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying is
there's a
all these
lot
guys
of the
are
guys.
depth players that you're swapping out with other depth players when they need far more than just depth swap outs. The issue with this team is not that they got the wrong depth guys.
No. But that has to come in like free agency. Like I because the idea of getting those guys in trades, like for like roll of the dice, lottery ticket, because then you have to replace also, like if you're trading away Bo and Vlad, it's like, oh, we have so few like good players. And it's like, oh, you're trading away the good players hoping to replicate also their performance. And then also
but
somebody
you're not
else's.
hoping to do it next season. That's
I
the
understand,
point. You
I
have to
understand.
know that next year is going to be a step back where you're playing younger guys and you're giving a fresh look to the organization and saying, hey, fans, we're trying it different. You got to be patient. They already did this and they had the great blueprint for it in 2017. Well, actually, 2017, they were kind of like the half measures group where they were trying to still win. But 2018, they went, hey, everyone, we suck.
Yeah.
We really suck.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Sorry that we suck so bad.
Yeah.
But remember before that season, I predicted, I was like, Kendrys Morales can't be this bad. And then they got rid of him like 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah.
He was the horse that I backed. I kind of did that with Kirk this year.
But what's a more likely scenario is that, you hit on all these incredible trades, right? Like, to me, I do see a path. This season's like pretty well lost. Like, it's hard to imagine.
Buddy, they got to win still 96. Now it's at a 94 win pace.
It's not even that, right? It's just like, look at the lineup. And like, I want to see Spencer Horwitz. God, he can't be any worse than what they're getting out of the DH position right now.
No, but they're tied in together is all I'm saying, is that you're not going to get a 94 win pace because you have this team.
Yeah, I agree. This team, this season, hard to you're not making a trade this season that makes you better, and God forbid you would like give up some longer term asset for some shorter term asset.
That's why it was crazy when they were showing the rumor yesterday with the Rockies. I'm like,
McMahon,
what? Why? What are we?
Like, even in our own report, it was like, but it's not going to happen. So,
I know. It was so weird. They were like, they're interested in a good player, but they won't get him. I was like, what is this report?
Anyways, I think what you can do is say, this season is lost.
We should start doing reports like that.
Yeah.
Raptors would like to get LeBron in free agency this year. They know they're not going to get him, but they would like it.
Well, that was kind of the Shohei Ohtani report. It's like, Blue Jays would really like to have Shohei Ohtani.
No, the report was that he was on the plane, so that's different.
Sure was.
Yeah.
Anyways, going into this offseason, I think it's an easier path to recoup whatever assets you can get for those pending free agents, or again, like going beyond that with the Jordan Romanos, whatever.
Oh, so hold on. I want you to clarify this though. How deep are you cutting? Who's the deepest guy you cut? Because it sounds like you're just saying the peripheral guys and then run it back essentially with all the core.
How deep would I cut? So like you're talking about guys that aren't pending free agents.
Yeah, okay. So no, you're saying Kikuchi gone, Jimmy gone.
The only guys that really
guys.
matter in this conversation is Bo and Vlad, and I wouldn't trade either one of them.
Well, I would say that Romano is in that mix too. Would you trade Romano?
Gone. Yeah.
And I would say Gossman.
Relievers, if you can get anything for a reliever.
Gossman.
I'd be fine if you can get a return on Kevin Gossman as well.
Yeah.
But and then this offseason, you try and either consolidate those assets in trade and then hit free agency hard, do a better job than you did this season where the focus is not just on one guy.
On pitchers, though, so
they really have. And they've properly identified something that is the new hotness and should be is guys that stay healthy.
Yeah.
Like Alek Manoah,
that is a good thing.
They've got one guy. And Kevin Gossman was injured to start the season, even though he didn't spend any time in the IL, and that might have been to his detriment. But no, the whole reason behind trading for Jose Barrios and then signing him to a 7-year extension, literally not 1 second on the IL in his entire career. No, they've been really good outside of Tanner Roark, signing free agent pitchers. So you feel pretty confident in that regard. Figure it out offensively. Lean harder into offense than defense. I'd feel more comfortable having whatever you get at the deadline for those guys and then trying to extend Vlad and Bo either in season or during the off season, and then building around those guys with again, the 5/9 of the lineup that's no good. Then like a bunch of lottery ticket, like, hey, we're the team that we're the Rays, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, guys get too close to free agency, and unless you can do your whatever Chris Archer for like Austin Meadows and Tyler Glasnow trade or whatever. There's only one raise.
Which, by the way, they've shown no indication of being able to do.
Yeah. So and I guess this ties into your conversation about who's running the thing at the front office level.
There's so many issues, but it's like, yes, first thing that they do need to get sorted is what is the front office and what is the vision. But my pitch to them would be that all the things you're talking about, the ways to build around these guys, that there's too many holes. You literally have to fix the bullpen, find
but
new
everybody
starting
has
pitchers.
like fixing a bullpen happens in an offseason all the time.
I understand. Thank you, baseball guys. This is the version of telling me it's early. Is the like bullpens are like hit and miss. Yeah.
Well, that was the first thing that you mentioned.
But I'm saying that they don't have anything in there that you feel great about anymore. Because again, the two pieces that you feel the best about are two very, very, very likely candidates for part of that reason as well. So if you're bringing in a brand new team around these guys and saying that you're not going to go into the quote unquote rebuild, you're going to go into we'll call it the pivot. You're doing the pivot plan. You got to figure out the bullpen. You certainly need to figure out the starting pitching going into next year because, again, you only would have 3 starters. Because saying Manoah is the guy now, you cannot do it. He's the same thing he is right now, which is bonus, looking good, feeling great about this 5th guy. But
I call it Nate Pearson land.
He's not quite there. But
depends on what the diagnosis is.
He's closer to Nate Pearson land than what we used to think he was, which was the second ace of the team. You've got 3 starting pitchers, but all of them, I'm sorry, even including Barrios, you feel less good about every year that they move forward in this thing. So you've got to fill multiple rotations.
No, that's not true. The first year you felt really bad.
Well, yeah, actually, no, yeah, it's true. Yeah, you feel... Yeah, I remember when he gave up that 1 home run of World Baseball Classic, and we were like, it's over. Like, 1 bomb. And then you've got to fill out, like you said, 4 spots in the lineup around these guys. 5 spots. Yeah, I don't see how you accomplish that without removing one of those guys. And I think that the added way that you can get away with this is that the fans are so sick of it that they are going to be way more understanding and ready and accepting of the teardown over the pivot. The pivot is going to make them feel like you're pulling the wool over their eyes again and trying to gaslight them like the way that they did this past offseason and thinking like, don't worry, we got the numbers, and the numbers are saying they're pretty good. They got the stuff plus whatever that stat. We got those things. Like, shut up. The team sucks. Everybody hates them. Time to move on.
Do you think the fans will think that if they're like at 500 or above it at the deadline and they still sell? Like, because to me, that's like
smart fans would be stoked on that move.
Yeah,
I think.
I know. That's right. Like that's to me, that's a way to save it. It's like, we know, like we could make the playoffs. Maybe we're in a playoff spot, but we do the Mavs thing where it's like, so what?
Yeah, but that I actually don't think they would do.
I think that. Oh my God, that's terrifying that you would say that. Don't say that.
I'm sorry, I don't think that they would do that.
Don't say that to me. Because you're
telling me that they could.
That is the worst thing in the world
of trying to make it to the playoffs when you get that added revenue and you go, well, if this happens and if this breaks,
oh my God! I mean, if that's
we got a break.
If that's true, then I guess trade it all away because like that can't happen. You can't lose Danny Jansen for nothing. You can't lose Jimmy Garcia for nothing in pursuit of 83 wins. Can't happen.